as we all know, the Trump family has certainly been enriching themselves during Trump's second term. Trump did a little bit of that in his first term and a lot of it in his second term. And we here at the Young Turks are not the only ones noticing. The left aren't the only people noticing. It turns out that there are people on the right who are also paying attention. Take a look.
How much wealth has he amassed since he took this presidency?
The better question is, how much more do they need? How much more does the Trump family need? I mean, when Ivanka swimming to Albania, I was like, what, how much more money do you guys need? When is enough enough?
Never.
Yeah, and that's why you feel like they fully have given themselves in, because none of them were like that before.
You don't think so?
No, I think I spent a lot of time with Don Trump Jr., and he was a real person. And he was certainly a very close friend of Charlie's. He shocked me the most after the assassination because I knew Don. And I challenged right away. I challenged him. I said, if Don Jr., who hunts, that's the guy, he knows the wilderness. If Don Jr. comes out and says he believes that Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet, I'll back off. I don't think Don Jr. has even spoken about Charlie's assassination since.
Yeah, you can tell that she's in a lot of pain. Every time they talk about Charlie Kirk, you can just feel it. But anyway, I mean, she's absolutely right about, and so is he, about the unbelievable level of greed. Cenk, just yesterday on the show, I was covering the fact that Trump had $2.2 billion in revenue last year, his various businesses. He's using the office of the presidency to enrich himself. And the bulk of that revenue, bulk of that money came from his various crypto schemes and ventures.
Yeah, so what people are doing is if they want to get out of jail, literally, they are paying off him through the meme coin, the crypto and all of that. If they want to deal with the government, they put in some money. I mean, it's just outright bribery. It's the most outrageous thing I've ever seen. On top of that, Trump is literally doing trades right before he announces deals. So, we're gonna do a pause in the war. We're gonna get rid of the tariffs. He'll make hundreds of trades, making tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, that's what everybody was pissed at Nancy Pelosi and wanted the Stock Act for, right? Trump's doing it on a thermonuclear level. But Candace is definitely wrong. She misread them the first time around. We didn't misread them. Trump has always been a deeply corrupt, greedy goon who is a sociopath and doesn't care about anyone but himself.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, Jared Kushner got that fat Saudi investment into his equity firm in the tail end of Trump's first term. I mean, it's just, the list goes on and on. So yeah, the corruption was there. I think what's catching people's attention now is how brazen the corruption is, and it's on a grander scale. And on top of it, when a politician that you have all this faith in betrays your trust by reneging on all of those campaign promises, suddenly you're gonna pay attention to what he's up to with the corruption. You know what I'm saying? So, I think in his first term, in their minds, he was doing things that they liked, and maybe they either turned a blind eye to the corruption or didn't notice it because it wasn't as brazen as it is this time around. But the corruption was there. You're right about that. I want to go to the one final video. Here is where, man, Sean Ryan really lets loose, and this was yet another cathartic moment for me personally. Let's take a look.
So to answer your question, no, I don't consider myself to be a Republican. Yes, I do consider myself to be a conservative.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't even know what the means. I don't even know if I'll ever vote again.
That's how I feel.
Probably not. I just, look, going through this and uncovering everything that we've uncovered, nothing's changed. I don't know about you, but for me, it's a ton of stress. Being associated with these people, now they have my number, they can reach me. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was it all for? This that we see? Do you think this needed to happen?
What needed to happen?
This veil to be lifted.
Yeah, I have to believe that. There is true evil being exposed. I pity a man who has relinquished what was a real power. People loved him, believed in him, thought that he could change things. I pity for earthly riches.
I almost wish I had pity for him, but I just don't.
Yeah. How do you not? He's a slave.
How do you not? He's a slave. Incredible. So, Cenk, while you have Sean Ryan and Candace Owens turning on Trump for the right reasons, like they see his corruption, they see that he broke his campaign promises. You also have some people in right-wing media who are calling Trump's corruption out for other reasons that are unsavory, if you ask me. We can get to that in just a second, but I want to get your thoughts on that last clip we just watched.
Yeah, so look, a lot of people on the right and the left are feeling what Sean Ryan's feeling, which is, it turns out this was all a play. We've gone to the theater and we thought it was real. And when you find out that everybody's an actor, the news anchors are news actors, the politicians are actors who are just servants for their donors, that's greatly disillusioning and disheartening in a way that it's hard to avoid getting either depressed or furious, right? Because so you sons of bitches on television and at the New York Times and in Congress, you've been lying to me my whole life. And I believed it. So I feel the same way that Sean does, coming at it from the other part of the political spectrum. Anna, you could tell my rage on the show about the media more than anyone else, because I went to the theater and I didn't know it was the theater. I thought that, I remember being a kid, 10, 12, 14 years old, watching Meet the Press. Yeah, I was a political nerd and I thought those things were real, that the politicians were really having debates and they had ideology and they had principles. It turns out everyone on TV was lying to us. They don't have any principles. They just cash the checks and do whatever their donors tell them. And in fact, on the Young Turks, we've shown that and proven it to you 100 times over. So every reporter in the country doesn't have access to the same materials. They can't see us being controlled by the donors. Come on, of course they can. So they've been maliciously, malignantly lying to you your whole lives. It's unforgivable.
Yeah, it's definitely unforgivable, Cenk. I think the difference between you and me is you're fixated on it. I've accepted it and they're dead to me. Like they're totally dead to me. I've had legacy media reporters reach out to me for various pieces they're writing about other public figures, and I ignore them. I'm not gonna help you with your piece. Do not reach out to me. I'm not interested in helping you, okay? Like they're dishonest. And I grew up admiring legacy media. I grew up aspiring to be accepted by them. Now, I am the danger, okay? Like I'm not interested in them. And so you're right, okay? I just want you to move on at this point though. Like accept it, it is what it is, and focus on defeating them.
No, I get it. But Anna, part of defeating them is waking everybody up, right? So that's why these days, we still have plenty of disagreements with people on the right, like Sean and Candace and stuff. That's normal, that's healthy, that's a democracy. And some disagreements are significant, but that's not the point. The point is that in this critical time, when we need everybody to wake up together on the left and the right and the middle and realize, okay, I need you to ignore legacy media. I need you to get your parents and your grandparents off the television set. That's the matrix plugged into the back of their necks, because it's getting them to vote for disgustingly corrupt politicians who sell us all out. If everybody's voting against incumbents in their own primaries and we politically slaughter the establishment and we get a whole new Congress and we get money out of politics, oh my God, I'll never talk about it again. I'll be the happiest man alive.
I hear you. I'm gonna say something a little bit controversial. Bear with me. You said something about division in America and how the media likes to really focus on some of these like wedge issues that are, sure, they are important, but in the grand scheme of things, I think are intentionally framed in a way to get Americans to fight each other, right? And my mind wanders back to the whole Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk assassination thing. obviously there are lots of things that don't make sense with the official narrative. And so I personally don't buy the official narrative. Sorry. As controversial as people might think that is, it is what it is. That's what I think. It was too on the nose. Like the whole, he had a transgender lover. So this was obviously a leftist who assassinated a right-wing, prodigy and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was a narrative meant to spark a civil war in this country. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And luckily that didn't happen.
Yeah, certainly to divide us, right? I don't know, and I do know that, of course, the Israeli strategy is have install puppets. If you're still hilariously worried about tropes, that's very cute, right? No, the Israelis always try to install puppets with little strings attached. The Lebanese prime minister, the Jordanian prime minister, the leader of Egypt, the leader of America, whether it's Biden, Trump, or really any president in our lifetimes. But if the puppet part doesn't work, then they go and try to destroy the country by creating a civil war so that the country's too busy attacking one another instead of worrying about Israel. So now, look, I don't think we're at that stage now, because it's not like Israel's lost control of our government. They still have a very, very firm, vicious grasp on our government. We're still fully occupied. I mean, look at the right wing lamenting the fact that their hero turned out to be an Israeli servant. And what did Biden do? He was an Israeli servant. There's no disputing that. That is an empirical fact. The largest donor to Biden his entire life was the Israeli lobby. And what did he do? In the middle of a genocide, he sent them a $21 billion gift from us, all of us, to murder more Palestinians. That's what an Israeli servant looks like. Okay, now on Tyler Robinson, Anna, I don't think your opinion is even controversial anymore in terms of who did the killing. We don't know for sure who did the killing, but the official story is garbage. No, I don't believe it at all. And look, I know there's people who still watch TV and think the New York Times is the Bible, and they find our opinions outrageous about this. Okay, good, we're even, because I found your opinions outrageous. You think that that weapon didn't go through Charlie Kirk's neck because, as the guy from Talking Point USA said, because Charlie had a really thick neck? You think the assassin, instead of there being two different guys, the official story is, no, there aren't two guys in two different sets of clothes. Tyler Robinson was doing a fashion show and changed twice in the middle of the assassination. Oh, come on. And he
they paved over the crime scene, guys. They paved over. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and days later they pave over it.
Yeah, so really?
Come on.
No.
Come on.
Now a lot of people don't know the whole thing about the rifle being disassembled and reassembled, and the whole thing. So, I wrote it on the bullets, and my texts say I acted alone, not with Israel, whatever, right? Okay, and I get it. If you don't know all those facts and you just believed whatever you read in the papers or whatever, no problem, okay? But if you know all those facts, and you still think Tyler Robinson did it, and that it's wild conspiracy theories to think of anything else, honestly, you're a bit of a sucker, like a giant sucker, and it's super easy to fool you. So if you're have feelings about, you guys sound conspiratorial, brother, our feelings about you are, I'm sorry, I mean, because they love throwing stones, right? Oh, you guys are crazy if you don't believe the government. You conspiratorial nuts, right? Okay, you're calling me nuts. I'm calling you an idiot, to be honest.
No, they're being fair, Cenk. I put my full faith behind Kash Patel. I mean, he has done such a great job as FBI director.
By the way, there'll be tons of left-wing Zionists who are like, Kash Patel, what a moron, what an idiot. Tyler Robinson, I believe him 100%.
I know.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.